The Philippines expressed deep concern over China's reported use of a helicopter in harassing Filipino fishermen in the West Philippine Sea. Video taken in Rosal Reef last Thursday showed the helicopters from the People's Liberation Army hovering just 15 feet over some 20 boats of Filipino fishermen. According to them, the Chinese are pushing them away from the area for 2 days already. Fortunately, no one was hurt, although the Philippine Coast Guard was deeply alarmed.
Ang pinaka-dangerous na harassment na ganyan is that it might, alam mo yun, masira yung light material structure ng boat. It might also capsize dahil sa pag-push ng hangin ng chopper.
Now, on that same day, the Armed Forces of the Philippines also reported a sighting of a Russian submarine in the West Philippine Sea. It was spotted just 80 nautical miles from Mindoro Island, which President Bongbong Marcos himself found concerning.
All of that's very concerning. Any intrusion into the West Philippine Sea of our EEZ or of our baselines is very worrisome. So, yes, it's just another one.
According to the National Security Council, a Philippine Navy frigate immediately tailed and sent a radio challenge to the submarine. The Russians answered that they were just waiting for the weather to clear up before heading home to their home port in Vladivostok. The submarine was en route to Russia after they joined exercises in Kota Kinabalu, Malaysia.
On the way na siya pabalik sa kanyang naval base sa Vladivostok. Sabi naman siya na nag-aantay lang siya na gumantay yung panahon.
Let's discuss this some more with Colonel Francel Padilla, spokesperson of the AFP, or the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Colonel Padilla, thank you so much for joining us tonight. First, tell us how you were able to spot the Russian submarine. Were we doing air patrols? Were they sea patrols who spotted them? What happened?
First of all, good evening, Sean, Mase, and Denise, and thank you for having us tonight. Foremost, this submarine was detected by our radar that is from the Philippine Navy. And so it was reported to us, and we confirmed that it was in November 28th that this Russian submarine identified as UFA 490 was sighted 80 nautical miles west of Cape Calavite, which is in Occidental Mindoro.
But if the submarine did not surface, ma'am, meron ba tayong capability? Do we have enough asset to monitor or to detect kung may pumapasok dun sa exclusive economic zone natin?
Yes, ma'am. No, we have a mix of different equipment to be able to detect yung presence nga nito, surfaced or underwater.
Okay. We just want to know, Colonel Padilla, whether this radar is new. We understand we were talking about the new laws, yung maritime zones natin and archipelagic sea lanes. And we understand that that is not yet in effect, but it seems like this radar was already able to monitor. Ito po ba yung radar that we're going to be using to enforce our territories? And is it new?
We have different set of equipments, and we also have from our partners, no. So we actually share information, and ito naman part na rin ng modernization assets that we have been acquiring through the years.
Mm-hmm. And Colonel, if the submarine was tracked by that radar that you mentioned a while ago, by our own system, are we now able to monitor other vessels? Is that what it means? And kung oo po, up to what extent?
This is what's important with this, no, that we were able to monitor nga the presence of this submarine. So with this, we can see that the capabilities are really getting to be modernized at this point, no, and because of this, we were able to immediately deploy assets to monitor and address the situation. And with that, we were able to ensure the security of the Filipino waters.
Pero, Colonel, is this really a cause of concern? Well, President Bongbong Marcos earlier mentioned that this is very worrisome. But I heard the National Security Council, well, particularly Assistant Director General Jonathan Malaya, mentioned that this is just part of the freedom of navigation. Right. So which is which?
Of course, we were surprised that may Russian nga no na vessel within our waters. So that is the one that is of concern to us, that meron ngang ganitong presence. But what is important to note is that we were able to detect them and react accordingly.
Pero ano po yung protocol? Kasi if this is part of the freedom of navigation, should they ask permission first from the Philippine government since this is part of our exclusive economic zone? Or okay lang na po
Kasi to add to Mase, no,
dumaan.
it was found in our EEZ but it was not in our territorial waters. I understand may parang FYI especially if you're using like a navy or a military, some sort of craft, diba? You have to parang tell the country na, hey, I'm passing by just to not cause any panic. But does that also apply in the EEZ or just in the territorial seas?
Under the UNCLOS, no, the authority under freedom of navigation kapag submerged siya or surface. But if it is territorial waters, it should be surface and it is within 12 nautical miles. It's innocent passage.
So in this case,
freedom of navigation because it's in the EEZ.
Even if they didn't tell us and we were kind of caught by surprise, at least our radar caught it, you're right about that. But, I mean, moving forward, should we expect that they kind of contact the AFP and tell them that they are passing by, since it is also I think, an official Russian vessel?
Under the UNCLOS, it's under freedom of navigation if it's within the EEZ.
Okay.
so having said that, does it mean that the Russian sub or the Russian government does not have any violation when it comes to this issue? Kasi, well, the way you understand it, when you say EEZ, tayo yung may karapatan na mag-exploit din sa resources or it has something to do with the economy, right? So, since wala naman silang in-exploit, hindi naman sila nag-loiter and they just, kailangan lang nilang mag-surface because of bad weather, they don't have any violation. Is that correct?
As they were just passing through. And during the time that the Navy has issued the challenges, they were very cooperative and told us the real reason that they were just waiting for the weather to clear.
And Colonel, they're saying now, if there's one thing that we learned from this is that we can now swiftly respond to such incidents, for escort or to intercept. How fast was our response time to the submarine's presence?
When we were informed of the presence, no, we immediately deployed the BRP Jose Rizal FF-150, and it established radio communications with the submarine. And the submarine confirmed its identity, its crew complement, and the navigational intent. So the Russian vessel actually stated that it was just awaiting improved weather conditions before proceeding to Vladivostok in Russia. So the Philippine Naval Forces, including the FF-150, escorted, and we monitored the operations to ensure that the submarine's compliance with maritime regulations within our Philippine Exclusive Economic Zone was been nasunod talaga to the letter.
Okay, since that's pretty much settled, I think let's move on to the Rosal Reef, where Filipino fishermen supposedly are complaining because they have been experiencing harassment from Chinese vessels around that area. Do we have confirmation, Colonel, kung is this Coast Guard, Chinese Coast Guard, militia vessels, or PLA vessels?
At this point, the statement was given from our Philippine Coast Guard, so we defer it from our Philippine Coast Guard on the details of that. But rest assured po, sa side ng Armed Forces of the Philippines, we keep telling our fishermen to continue fishing in the waters in our exclusive economic zone, as the right to do so is nandito sa atin. And the Armed Forces of the Philippines will always be there to support them. So tuloy-tuloy po yung ating pagpapatrolya. Ang Philippine Navy po natin, nandiyan po, continuously doing our patrols 24/7. And our Philippine Air Force are also doing maritime patrols every now and then on a regular basis.
Okay, so for now, that matter is in the purview of the PCG or the Coast Guard.
Yes, ma'am. Commodore Tariela has also given details on that. So do we defer to the PCG at this point, ma'am?